Hello, I'm Professor Mike Barnes, and I'm a neurologist and a cannabis physician, and I've been working in the cannabis industry for about 20 years now, initially with the first licensed cannabis medicine called Sativex, then more recently I was the first to prescribe cannabis in this country for the little boy called Alfie Dingley, and now I'm still involved very much in the sector as chairman of the Medical Cannabis Clinicians Society and chairman of the Cannabis Industry Council. And I hope that some of the work I've done has helped promote the benefits of cannabis as a medicine in the UK. I'm sitting here today as a scientific advisor to Serena Organics, and I hope to be able to answer some of the commonly asked questions to put you right about CBD, what it is and what it isn't. Well, a lot of people ask, what is CBD? And CBD is just a component of the cannabis plant. It's called a cannabinoid, and it's one of 147 cannabinoids. Some will be familiar to you, like THC, the one that gets you high on the street cannabis, but CBD doesn't do that. But it's just a component of the cannabis plant, a very safe component, and one that has a lot of medical benefits. A lot of people ask, what's the difference between CBD and THC? THC is one of the cannabinoids, and it's the one that gets you high. It's the one that's in high concentration in street cannabis. CBD is another of those cannabinoids, but it doesn't get you high. In fact, it counteracts the high of THC. So if a doctor prescribes cannabis, which they're now entitled to do, they will always prescribe some CBD with THC because it's not the aim of a medical prescription to get high. So THC has medical properties, CBD has medical properties, but they're different in terms of the fact that one gets you high and the other one doesn't. Well, CBD acts with the human body. It's a rather complicated thing, but basically CBD works through what's called the endocannabinoid system. And this is a system that we all have. In fact, all animals with backbones have, all vertebrates have this system, and it's sort of master control of the nervous system. It's basically a switch-off mechanism. So when nerves fire to cause you to move your leg or move your arm or to look or to hear, that firing needs switching off. And the switch off of the nervous system is called the endocannabinoid system. And CBD and THC, for that matter, work largely, not exclusively, but largely through that endocannabinoid system. Well, CBD has a lot of benefits, many of which are definite, some of which are not so certain as yet. If I had to put them in order, CBD is really helpful for pain, to start with. It helps promote sleep, which of course can help pain as well. It improves appetite. It reduces anxiety, which again can be something that makes pain worse, but in its own right, it can reduce anxiety and anxiety-related symptoms like things from PTSD. And for the children, it's a very good anticonvulsant. It reduces or stops seizures. So it has a lot of medical properties, many of which are really useful for long-term chronic conditions. Is CBD legal in the UK? The answer is yes. In fact, most of the cannabis components are legal in the UK now, some of which don't need a doctor's prescription. But CBD is entirely legal, over the counter, legally purchased over the counter or online, as long as it has no or very little THC in it. That's the only difference. Doctors can prescribe CBD when it has a little more THC in it and other cannabinoids, but for the over-the-counter variety, you need no THC or just a tiny little bit of THC. Can you travel with CBD oil? Now we're post-COVID, a lot of people wanting to go on holiday. Can you take it with you? That is a very cautious answer, because in many countries, CBD is still illegal. Other countries it's legal, but you need a permit or an import license to take it into the country. And in other countries you can take it with you, no problem at all. So it's not a straightforward answer. And the only way to really find out is to look up on the web where you're going. Are you going to Spain? Are you going to Dubai? Where are you going? Is it legal there? And more particularly, if it is legal there, can you bring it with you? So I'm afraid there's not a straightforward answer to that. And I don't often recommend Wikipedia, but there's actually a good page on Wikipedia called Is Cannabis Legal? And that's usually quite a good source of initial information. Does CBD make you sleepy, make you tired? It can do. It really depends on the dose. Some people are worried about getting sleepy during the daytime when they don't want to be sleepy or they need to work. So a lower dose will often help other symptoms like pain or anxiety, but won't make you sleepy. A higher dose, of course, will probably make you sleepy, not everybody, but many, and of course that's helpful because it helps you sleep at night. So it's very dose dependent and very personalized medicine. There are some people who get very sleepy on a small dose, some people don't get sleepy at all, even on a large dose. So experiment a little bit, try a low dose, see how it affects you before you either dismiss it or embrace it. Some people ask, will I get addicted to CBD? And the answer is no. In fact, you can't get addicted to cannabis. You can get dependent on it, which is slightly different. And about 9% of people who take street cannabis get dependent on it, but that's the THC component. CBD helps that and counteracts that. So can you get addicted to CBD? Definitely not. Does CBD cause side effects? Yes. Any medicine can cause side effects. CBD is very well tolerated though, but it can cause problems in some people. It's easy to remember what those problems are because there's usually 4 Ds. Dizziness, drowsiness, dry mouth, and in some people, less commonly, diarrhea or stomach cramps. Usually they're very mild, usually they're very well tolerated, but they're the sort of problems you might get, particularly if you start off at a high dose and don't slowly escalate that dose. So the answer to minimizing the side effects is start low and go slow. Many people are worried about overdosing on CBD. Well, like any medicine, you can overdose on it in the sense of taking more than you should. The more important question is, what does that do? And overdose of CBD is remarkably safe. It doesn't really do anything. It might give you some dizziness, drowsiness, dry mouth, but it doesn't really cause any problems. So it's really remarkably safe. Take the dose that's on the bottle or has been prescribed for you, of course, but don't worry if occasionally or inadvertently you take a bit more. What's the best way to take CBD? Well, there's 2 main ways. One is drops under the tongue, and that's a really good way to take it because it gets absorbed into the bloodstream really very quickly, within a couple of minutes. And in some people, you can notice the effect that fast. Some people don't like holding it under the tongue, or they can't do so. So you can swallow it. You can take it orally into the stomach. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the absorption is quite variable according to what food you've just had in the stomach. CBD and other cannabis products like fat. So if you've taken a fatty meal, you get it absorbed much quicker than if you haven't taken a fatty meal. Also in the stomach, it goes from the stomach to the liver, and in the liver it gets metabolized. So what you finally get in the bloodstream is not necessarily exactly what you took by mouth. So there are some variables in taking it orally into the stomach, and the best way to take it is drops under the tongue. But either way will do as long as you're consistent. Be consistent with the food, be consistent with the dosing. Another way to take CBD is topical. Put it on the skin. It gets absorbed into the skin, not so much in the bloodstream, only a tiny bit into the bloodstream. But if you've got something on the skin, such as an inflammatory skin condition, or underneath the skin, such as a painful muscle, then it's really good for that. It will absorb into that muscle and it'll just smooth and calm down any inflammation in the muscle, any pain in the muscle. So topical application is a very good way of treating local circumscribed conditions. A lot of people ask whether there's a difference between day and night drops with CBD, and the answer is no. I mean, CBD is CBD. Now, in fairness, some companies do add in other components to a CBD oil, some of which can make you sleepy, and therefore they're useful at night. Others add in components that make you more alive and awake during the daytime. But a CBD product is just CBD. It's no difference between night and day. CBD is CBD is CBD. A lot of questions I get asked is whether I can take CBD with my existing medication. And the right answer to that is you need to ask your doctor. If the doctor's prescribed something, he or she should be able to advise you what mixes with CBD and what doesn't. And it's useful for the doctor to know what you're taking as well, even if it's over the counter. Having said that, CBD is remarkably safe and actually mixes very well with virtually all prescribed medication. There's only a couple of exceptions to that, which are mainly in childhood epilepsy. So generally speaking, you can take CBD with any other medication, but the right answer is to ask your doctor whether the medicine you're taking will mix with the CBD that you want to take. If some people ask whether CBD helps everybody, and the answer, like any medicine, is no, it doesn't. Broadly speaking, about 80% of people who take CBD have some benefit from it. That, of course, leaves 20% who don't, who seem to be resistant to its effects. Having said that, though, there's a lot of people who don't get the benefit because they haven't taken enough. And you've got to be careful with the dose. The average dose of CBD is somewhere around 60 to 100 milligrams daily, but it varies hugely. Some people can have a perfectly good effect on just 10 milligrams. Some people, particularly say the children with epilepsy, for example, need even 300, 400, 500 milligrams of CBD. So it's a very personalized medicine and will vary a great deal. So the answer to that is some don't get benefit, most will, but it will depend on the dose, and you need a good enough dose to have a good enough effect. Can CBD help menopause? Well, it can help the symptoms of menopause. It can help anxiety, which sometimes can be an issue. It can sometimes help discomfort, which occasionally can be an issue. It can help sleep, which certainly can be an issue. It doesn't affect menopause per se, but it can certainly help and improve the symptoms that are around menopause. It's a difficult question that people want to know what's the best brand to buy. There's over 250 companies in this country selling CBD online or over the counter. So it's very difficult. What to look for, in my view, is really two things. One is to look at what's called a certificate of analysis, and the good companies will have a link to this certificate. All this certificate does, it sounds very grand, but it's not. It's simply a list of ingredients that's in the plant. It confirms that they've tested it, so it hasn't got any metals in it, hasn't got any pesticides in it. It's got what is in the bottle is what it says on the label. That's the key to it. It's good if the oil is prepared from what's called GMP, good manufacturing practice. That's a good, solid way to produce an oil. It's safe, it's well tried, well tested, and externally inspected. So they're the two useful components. But it's really down to good quality oils, confirmed that what's on the label is what's in the bottle, and that they make sensible claims as well. There are some companies that make wild claims about their CBD. So look for sensible, balanced claims about benefiting aches, pains, anxieties, stresses of everyday life. They're reasonable claims that you can make for over-the-counter products, and avoid those perhaps that go over the top in terms of their medical claims. So just one example is Serena Organics, and they produce good quality oil. They have certificates analysis with every batch. It's produced to those GMP standards, and it's organic. And they're the key things that you need to look for in any product.